Hey, what's up? I'm a diagnosed narcissist, and I'm here to once again share about my experiences. Yes, my experiences. Keep in mind that I am not a licensed professional or anything like that, so take whatever I say as you will from my point of view and whatnot. But anyway, there's a thing that I've been thinking about lately. Well, I guess pretty much my entire life at this point, because this is, I guess, something that you can say I struggle with as a narcissist. Us narcissists in general often very much struggle with object constancy. And from the way I understand that, I think it pretty much comes from the idea that people can, let's say, view us in a way that's still of like I don't know, care, love, or like whatever, without actually hating us during moments where, I don't know, let's say they might point out our flaws and stuff like that. But this is something that I've always sort of struggled with, because I think, at least for me, I see things through towards the straightforwardness of who's on top and who's at the bottom, you know, dynamics, power dynamics in terms of like hierarchy and whatnot. So I always had a bit of like, let's say, an issue when I'm dealing with somebody and, you know, we go through, I guess, problems or something, and they're saying something about me that I don't really like because it puts me on the defensive, quote unquote. Well, anybody would be if they're in a situation where they're, I don't know, let's say arguing with somebody that they're in a relationship with. But I think the thing that I have a hard time knowing is that, like, how can I know how much of it should be allowed to be permitted, I guess? Because I mean, when you're in a relationship with somebody, I'm sure you'll have like ups and downs with them. There's going to be difficult times. There's going to have to be like, you know, uncomfortable conversations that you'll have to have with them. And I guess like try to get on the same page, because burying things under the rug as if they're not there is just as much of a problem, let's say. But yeah, I don't know, because when I deal with people, there's always a thing in the back of my mind where it's like, how much can I let them, quote unquote, like run me over? Or like, where even is the line? Because it doesn't make sense to me, I guess, in terms of like how it doesn't make sense to myself, which is why I often feel empty and how I'm like not really there to begin with, because I can only see myself as like all good or all bad. So when I think of like dealing with other people, I just wish there was also this form of like consistency where like I can see them as all good or like all bad, because the fact that like there's supposed to be nuance in people is a thing that's like way too contradictory for me, which is why I think my self-esteem doesn't feel real. Because when I'm in a moment of power and grandiosity and feeling like I'm on, I don't know, a high of being like a victor, quote unquote, and like everyone sucks, it's really disappointing when I reach a moment where I feel like, okay, I'm like really weak and there's no, I don't know, let's say, ability for me to like, I guess, quote unquote, like win or whatever. And it all just kind of dissolves. And I think like my interpretation of myself doesn't become real anymore, because I'm just filled with this like emptiness. And I think, yeah, that's how I feel when I deal with other people. Because when I have good times in a relationship with somebody, oh, I like hang out with you, we have fun together, whatever, quote unquote, and like stuff like that, it's really, I guess, like frustrating and irritating how like maybe one particular moment where you do something and maybe you didn't do it on purpose, I don't even know, but it's like basically some sort of like uncomfortable situation happens, and just how that like tiny bit of like negativity in an interaction in terms of like how I perceived it just like destroys every like positive moment that like we've had together. Because then I can immediately go into this like spiral in terms of thinking like, okay, what's real? Are they just, I don't know, are they trying to get one over on me? Are they doing this? Are they doing that? Like, it just doesn't make like any sense. Because I don't know, I start entertaining like, you know, the power dynamics and the hierarchy in terms of like, okay, then who is running everything? Or do they think that I'm supposed to be the person that's like constantly like accommodating them? Because I hate feeling like I'm the one in the relationship that's like, I don't know, like metaphorically, let's say I have to be the one that like gets on my knees for somebody else. So it like destroys my, I don't know, sense of I don't know, because like they always talk about how like people need a support system in the world, right? Or something, but like it always like, I don't know, confirms this belief I have in myself where it's like, okay, I'm the only one that can know I truly care about me, and everyone else will always just be hit or miss or something. Or like, I don't know, because like when I see other people and I notice their relationships and they seem like they're happy, they seem like, I don't know, to me it's always a wonder, like, how do you know you can truly trust somebody? Because everything that I deal with in a relationship with like other people, it feels like it's a, you know, made up like artificial sort of like construct, and it's like nobody will tell me what the rules are. Well, you know, people might, I guess, in the sense where it's like, obviously when you have like arguments with people, they want to lay something down, they want to lay their foundation, they're this, they're that, but then it's like I never feel like, oh, this is a way to develop, I don't know, like trust or something, or like success in our relationships. But then again, these like negative feelings don't even like hold back as much anymore as well, because like obviously I'm not like a fucking like hermit in the woods or something like that. Obviously I do have relationships in my life, but it's like, okay, for example, is it petty if I think to myself that it's like, if I don't know, forgive somebody, I'm like no different than a crying child that got manipulated by some like candy and then suddenly they're happy because they forgot what they were like even upset about to begin with? I mean, they do say that forgiveness is, I guess, a crucial part of like relationships and whatnot, because, you know, people make mistakes and like all that kind of stuff. But it's like all these rules basically are just super fucking confusing, and I don't understand how people are supposed to just like, I don't know, like balance this all together. I mean, I don't know, I'm sure like everybody struggles, but it seems like everybody on the outside wants to paint a picture like they have it like all put together and whatnot. But it's like, okay, different relationships have different standards, people have different expectations, people have different this, different that, and people have different wants and needs, and everything just keeps colliding onto each other. And all these like contradictory things are supposed to be things that we just somehow know how to navigate, even though it's so arbitrary in terms of like how it works. And it's like, I can't like not think that like, okay, so we're all just like selfish basically, because how are we not gonna just be able to understand ourselves better than anybody? But then again, we also rely on other people to help us like understand ourselves. Like that's why people go to therapy to begin with. That's why people, I don't know, I guess like read different works from other people. Let's say like psychology pieces and whatnot, or hell, maybe even philosophy, or, you know, all these kind of things. And it's like this weird balance between, okay, you're supposed to know yourself and be firm in yourself, but then you're also a, you know, social creature that has to be dependent upon like other people, but then you also can't be codependent. But I feel like, because I see things through like, I guess people will say black and white, but to me it's more so like straightforward. Like it all just seems like we're like being like codependent anyway, but we're trying to mask as if like we have our own individuality or whatever. And like, I don't know, maybe this is why I'm starting to think people have like issues with narcissists, because I feel like we're perhaps like one of the people that can just be, you know, like honest about it. Like we're all trying to do these things where it's like we're trying to get our way, but it's like you as a regular person, let's say, has like the subtle way of like not coming across as like, oh, there's like something wrong with you. But it's like, for example, I would just know that everybody is like axiomatically selfish, because it's hypocrisy all around, because you would only ever call somebody selfish because they're not fulfilling the expectations that you believe someone ought to act in order to not be called selfish. So it's like this world is just like contradictory like all around. Like they'll say it's a struggle, and I mean I said it myself that like it is a struggle to go through like object constancy, but then life is like a series of like ups and downs. So it's like, okay, you will like people sometimes and like you will hate them, but it's like, how do you even retain like either of those feelings? Because I feel like how I feel about myself in terms of like my self-esteem, it kind of just fades and disappears. I can't feel good about myself for too long. I can't feel negative about myself for too long, because then I just realize that like, okay, we're all just going through these like random societal like arbitrary constructs, and it all just feels hollow and it all just feels fake. But then when I'm dealing with like other people, I'm just like, oh, I hate them, they deserve to be like lambasted, let's say, or like whatever, all this kind of stuff. But then I'm also like, you know, I don't even want to waste my energy on these people because they fucking suck. And then I don't know, overall it's like whatever I can feel, it just dissolves and it just keeps going back to like nothingness. Yeah, I don't know, but there's some thoughts.